my loves, welcome back to Love What Luck. Last episode of the year. We have made it through 2024. I barely have, to be fair. I just want to kickstart the episode by saying thank you. If you've been here all year, then that makes me very happy. And I don't know when you're actually listening to this, but the day that this episode comes out is going to be Christmas Eve. Super excited, and I hope whoever's listening is just good, merry and bright vibes only. I hope you've got a glass of mulled or red wine in hand, or Baileys, whichever drink of your choice, and I hope you're chilled out. I hope everything is done off your list and you're ready for the festivities. I hope by the time this comes out I'm tipsy with no care in the world. That's my Christmas wish this year. Right, let's go straight into this week's story. My ex of nearly 3 years ended things with me out of the blue, giving me the classic, I need to find myself jargon. We're both in college and working full time, but didn't live together quite yet. I was absolutely devastated for around 2 months. In those 2 months, I did all of the classic better yourself things, and I still continue to do them today. Working out, therapy, fashion revamp, getting out of my comfort zone, etc. Then my therapist recommended that I start dating casually, nothing serious. I feel like that's a little bit rogue to say to your patients when they've only been single for 2 months. But each to their own. Now that I'm with my new therapist, the more time that passes, I realise how rogue my last one was. And she probably would have told me to do something like that. But I just think each to their own. But I do think, like, if you're in a relationship for 3 years, dating again after 2 months might be a little bit too soon. Like, if you've been broken up with out of the blue, you're going to be in shock, you know. You're not going to be over it. You're not going to be healed. You're going to be upset. You're going to be questioning stuff. And I just don't think it's the right mindset to be going into something new with, personally. But people do move on mad quick. I was having this conversation with my friend the other day. Like, I literally know somebody, they were together for 5 or 6 years, broke up in the summer. Oh, got a new partner now, spending Christmas together. Each to their own. It's a judgment-free zone. We listen and we don't judge. Okay. So, she's dating casually after she's been heartbroken. I mean, to be fair, just go out and get her in it. Why not? At the time, I was still hopeful for a reconciliation with my ex, but no longer obsessive about it. See, there I rest my case, because she's out there now meeting people. She could be meeting a guy that's super into her, and she's thinking about her ex. She just wants to get back with her ex. So I just don't think it's a fair start. But okay, I will stop now. I was beginning to heal, but I downloaded Hinge anyway and started talking to a bunch of women. Oh wait, is this a same-sex story? Oh, it's a man. It's written by a man. Dare I say, this makes a lot more sense now. Oh, gosh, okay. I would love to know if that therapist was a man or a woman as well. I really, really would. For me, see, a male therapist, no thank you. I would pack up my troubles in an old kit bag and smile and walk away from you if you're a male therapist. There's no one single ounce of me that could sit in front of a man and tell him my issues. I don't even like young women. My therapist, everyone that I go for, is an older woman. And I think it's like looking for a mother in a therapist. Even though I've got a mother that is also like my therapist, so I talk at every single day. But I just think it's like a mother figure that I find so comforting. The other day, well, it was the other week actually, me and my friend were in bed and she was literally telling me about her therapist, and she was like, I want to show you a picture of her. And I was like, oh my God, okay, show me. And she showed me hers and I showed her mine. And hers was like not somebody I would have gone for. She looked like a bit more stern. And I was like, oh, I would never pick her. Because obviously I go like, you go by pictures, don't know? Because obviously you've got to read their stuff. But like, it's like online dating. And you have to pick somebody that you feel like you've got some sort of connection with. It's weird. So I showed her mine. And then I showed her my others. Because I've had 3 that I've seen. And I had 1 where I couldn't see her face. Technically I've had 5. But the first one really didn't work out. Wow. Does that make me troubled that I've had 5 therapists? Does it? Does it make me troubled, or does it make me really in tune with myself and just like really like on the road to healing? I'd like to think it's the latter, because I feel like I'm doing pretty good. So, and also with therapists, you've got to like shop around a bit to find one that suits you. And also I think that depending what crisis mode you're in, that also like depends what therapist you should have. Like the first one I had, I never even saw a face, and it was literally like, what they call it, CBT, I think, where they basically like, it's like tools, literal homework to like get you out of anxiety. So that like cured my mad anxiety that I used to have every day. And then I was in work and I was severely depressed and I was crying every day in the office, like 5 times a day. So then I went to another therapist and I had her. And then I had one this year when I was going through my breakup. And I do think like you pick one for what you think you need to hear. And then I think when you're okay, you end up landing on the therapist that you stick with. And hopefully I've got that now. Anyway, I won't go off on a therapy tangent, even though I already have. But I could keep talking, but I'm not going to. Okay, so it's a man. We listen and we don't judge. But he's back on the dating scene 2 months after. Although, to be fair, he got broken up with. So I'm also just a bit like, sometimes you get broken up with. It's not a sensible thing to do, but sometimes you do just need to go out there and just have like a fun night and a little drunken kiss. A drunken kiss in a bar never hurt nobody, is what I say. So, okay, I'm all for it. I downloaded Hinge anyway, and I started talking to a bunch of women. It made me feel attractive to know that I could get all of these matches. I went on a few dates with Hinge people, talked to women in bars, and reconnected with girls I had known before. Basically, just exercising my interact with women muscle and shifting my focus away from my ex. Okay, I like that, and I think that's a really good way of putting it, and I can understand it. And I take back any prejudgments that I had. After only a few weeks of doing that, I found someone really special to me. She is so pretty, we have the same sense of humour, similar future goals, amazing sex. We just get along so well. We've been dating for around a month, and her and I have both acknowledged that there's something here in this relationship that has been missing from our past ones. It's obviously too early to say this with certainty, but I can see a life with this girl. A life that would be better than the one I was about to commit to with my ex, and I know she feels the same. Oh my God. In the end, the breakup with my ex was a huge moment of change for me. I learned a lot about myself, made positive changes to my mindset, and just feel like a better, happier person. I am more connected with myself now, and I've learned how to be a better partner. I am nothing but grateful to my ex for ending things, not because our relationship was bad, it was pretty great, but for setting me on this better and happier path. Oh, okay, I actually love that. I like that. And I actually did, when me and my friend were having this conversation about like people that move on so fast and stuff, because she seems to have loads of people in work that are doing it. I did say that sometimes I think if you can move on quite fast from somebody and then realise like how much happier you are, then sometimes I do think it's a sign that you were in the wrong relationship, and sometimes like you need to be apart from them almost to realise it. Whereas I think if you are like really struggling in a breakup and you feel upset and, well, I don't know, it's hard because obviously you're going to feel upset after a breakup, like no matter what, even if you were the one doing the breaking up, like it's always upsetting. But I think like as time goes on and you're kind of out of the trenches, if you feel like much better about yourself and your life and you notice that loads of things are improving for you, then that sometimes is a sign that maybe you're in the wrong relationship. But if you're like still really struggling, then I don't know, maybe it's a sign that you should get back with your ex. I don't know. But, I mean, he obviously sounds so much better off. So, yeah, that's really nice. If you've got any stories, guys, as always, please send them in to me. I'm Sadie@lovewhatluck.com, or you can Insta DM me at Sadie Maltby or at lovewhatluck. TikTok. You'll find me on socials. I've put all the links down below. But, yeah, come and let us know. Come and let us know if you've got any positive breakup stories. I like that, actually. It's nice, especially, like, for people that are going through it, you know, that feel like, hearing that is kind of like the light at the end of a tunnel, you know? Oh my God, guys, I've got to tell you, I went to the run club this weekend. So let me tell you, the only reason I made it out to that run club on Sunday morning was because I told you guys about it last time I recorded. And I knew that would like force me to go, because I just thought, if I've said to you guys that I'm going and then I turn up next week and I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't go, baby doubt. I thought, that's not a good vibe. It's like holding yourself accountable to a group of people. And I woke up Sunday morning and I thought, I don't want to go there. It was cold. I didn't feel anxious or anything good like last time. But I was like, I feel cold and really want to get up. But I was like, no, I've got to do it. And I've got to tell you guys I did it. And I am so, so glad. Firstly, just fitness-wise, obviously I was with a group of people and I ran 5k without stopping. When I go for a run by myself, I mainly just go for like the mental health and the fresh air vibes. I'm not trying to run a personal best anymore. You know, she's long gone. She left in 2020. She was around for about a year and she went. Like now I just like to go and just clear my mind, just like feel better after it. But I was in a group of people, a group of runners, and I would have passed out before I stopped in that group and walked. Especially like at the start, the woman was like, right, do not stop, guys, because when you start walking, it's game over. And I was like, right, okay. So I went into the slowest pace group, thought I won't push myself too much. But I kept up with the front, even though it was like one slower pace group, obviously that still broke up. I say obviously, I didn't realise today. I thought we'd all run at the same pace. I'm not used to pacing myself. So I went with the fasties in that group. I was dying. My knees were hurting. I was out of breath. My legs were aching the next day. It was only 5k, guys. I always do a 5k run, but I always stop. Apart from anything, it just like forced me to actually do a good fast run, and it forced me to keep my pace like the whole time. But the biggest thing for me was that it pushed me out of my comfort zone. And I've always heard people say this, like how you've got to push yourself out of your comfort zone and you feel so much better from it's rewarding and blah, blah, blah. And I never really understood it. I never really even believed it. I just thought, meh. Until I went to Denver. And I honestly think doing that trip in Denver and driving myself there and planning all the tours and getting myself there on time, like all alone, that for me was like the biggest, like most healing thing I probably could have done with myself. Not to be dramatic, I'm genuinely telling the truth. Like after I did that, I just felt so good about myself. And I felt, obviously it wasn't quite the same hit going for a run club like 5 minutes down the road. But it's that same type of feeling where you're like, right, I'm going to do that. And it's only you. And you're doing it just for yourself. And it's just that feeling of after you do something, you've pushed yourself out of your comfort zone. I can't talk today. Pushed yourself out of your comfort zone. And you do just feel so much better after it. And my kind of feeling was, I feel like I rely on people, not for like comfort or, you know, will you do this for me, will you do that for me, but I rely on people in terms of like, just because I'm a bit lazy with it, because I just feel like I don't care enough about much. I mean, obviously there'll be some stuff that I'm like, no, I've got to do it. But like generally, like if I go away or something, I just kind of like to leave it up to the other person. That's like friends, boyfriend, whatever. Because I just can't deal with the stress of it. So when I'm like by myself, sometimes I think at least like at the start, like when I did that first trip by myself at the beginning of the year, in February, I went out to see my friend in San Diego and I went by myself. And obviously in the days she was working. And I literally felt like I didn't know what to do with myself. And it was so weird. I was like, what would I do on it? But it's like if I was there with Amelia, or like obviously when I went before, I went with Matt and his friend Stu, I'm just so chilled. I'm just like, yeah, wherever, let's just go. Because I can't, it's honestly because I can't be asked to think about what to do. But the bad thing about being that way is that when you are by yourself, it's almost like you don't know what you want to do, you don't know how to do it, And it was like a really horrible feeling when I went in February. I was actually like, oh my God, well, like, what am I going to do? And I just felt really lost, honestly. Whereas like when I went this time, I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do this. And I had a plan. And yeah, that's what I was saying. Like when you're doing it just for you, it is like a little form of self-love. I know it sounds dramatic and deep, but it is, because you're doing it just for you and only you were there. So like if you're with somebody else, I feel like, and you go to a restaurant or something and the food's not great, it's okay because you're with someone else and you're still meeting up with them and you're still chatting to them and you get more from the meeting. But when it's just you, you've got to make sure that all your experiences are worth your time. And that's like one big thing I've learned this year, is like the importance of time, and how I don't want to waste it on a person or something that I don't enjoy doing or something that's not beneficial to me. And yeah, that's probably my biggest lesson this year. So continually pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to do things just for you. Cannot recommend it enough, guys. I'm definitely going to go again, not till January now. But I even like stayed after, like I can literally walk back. Like where we stopped running, I could have just walked back from mine. But everyone walked to like this cafe to, network and mingle and all the rest of it. And I was like, I'm going to do that. So I was like speaking to a girl and a guy, and we just chatted and we like walked the whole way, and I did it. And yeah, I just felt like really, really good after it. So can't recommend it enough. Okay, I've got another story that I actually saw online that I wanted to share with you. Only a year and a half into marriage, I came to the conclusion that marriage isn't for me. But before you start making assumptions, keep listening. I met my wife in high school when we were 15 years old. We were friends for 10 years until we decided we no longer wanted to be just friends. I strongly recommend the best friends fall in love. Good times will be had by all. Nevertheless, falling in love with my best friend did not prevent me from having certain fears and anxieties about getting married. The nearer our wedding day approached, the more I was paralysed by fear. Was I ready? Was Kim the right person to marry? Would she make me happy? Then one night, I shared these concerns with my dad, and I'll never forget his advice. With a knowing smile, he said, Seth, I'm going to make this really simple. Marriage isn't for you. You don't marry to make yourself happy. You marry to make someone else happy. More than that, your marriage isn't for yourself. You're marrying for a family. Not just for the in-laws and all of that, but for your future children. Who do you want to help you raise them? Who do you want to influence them? I knew in that moment Kim was the person I wanted to marry. I see her smile every day, and I want to make her laugh for the rest of our lives. I wanted to be a part of her family and for her to be a part of mine, and I knew that she would be a great mother. I wanted to build our own family together. My father's advice went against the grain of today's Walmart philosophy, which is, if it doesn't make you happy, you can take it back and get a new one. A true marriage isn't about you, it's about the person you love, their wants, their needs, their hopes and dreams. Selfishness demands what's in it for me, while love asks, what can I give? How sweet is that? I'm going to throw it out there. I realise that that's not very realistic. And I agree for the most part, but you've got to get some good stuff out of marriage as well. Come on. You've got to be satisfied as well. But I do agree that we have got, and I've said about it before, like there is a big culture of like, oh my God, I'm not completely 100% happy. Done. And yeah, marriage obviously doesn't work like that. But guys, do you know, right? I posted this video on TikTok. I posted it on Instagram as well, but on Instagram was fine. But on TikTok, it riled the men up in the comments. My God. So it was basically a video of me saying, what do you do if you walk down the aisle on your wedding day and you get to the top and your future husband isn't in tears? Like, do we just turn around and walk away? And it was a bit of a joke. It was a bit tongue-in-cheek, Danielle. Do you know what I mean? It was just a bit of a laugh. Oh, the men said, no, nor on my watch, sister. I mean, I had an influx of followers. Ironically, all men. That was the weird part. But the men came into the comments saying, like, why should he be crying? He's crying because he doesn't want to marry you. He's thinking, what the hell have I done? A few people went down the road of like, if a man's crying on your wedding day, he's a male. But if a man smiles on your wedding day, he's a man. And I was like, oh, Oh my God. It actually made me cringe so much. I've just vomited in my mouth. But the overriding comment was they're crying about how much money they're going to lose. And I never realised how negatively men associate marriage or weddings with money. Like, there were so many comments about people saying, about guys saying, oh, he's going to lose half of what he's got. Nothing is all his anymore. Everything he's worked for is going to be split to her. The wedding's only for the woman. And I was just like, I literally replied to one of them, just propose then. Don't get married. Like, why are you so against it? And why do men think that marriage just immediately means you lose all your money? Obviously, I get, like, rich, super rich people and, like, all the rest of it. But, like, I don't think there were any Elon Musks in the comments, if you know what I mean. Like, you're just your regular John Doe. Like, if you break up with somebody, I don't know, I've never been divorced, and I can imagine it's a nightmare. I just know a woman's not thinking that. But yeah, people came for me in the comments. It was really funny. I've actually had a lot of hate online this week. This is what happens when, like, 2 of my videos did quite well, and whenever they reach a certain number of people, you know that they're doing well, because that's when you start to get hate. On Facebook, I always get hate for my accent and my voice. And I just, how many times can I say it? Like, how am I going to talk differently? I'm 33 years old. I've lived in the valleys 2/3 of my life. It's done. I've lived in London 10 years next year. I haven't got a hint of an English accent. Thank God, by the way. No offence to all my English listeners. But, like, people tell me to get voice lessons and that. Get a voice coach. It's so rude, firstly, because for me, when I was growing up, I never ever saw the Welsh accent on anything. Like, there was never on any TV, no singers, minus Tom Jones, obviously, and like Stereophonics and that. But, like, when I used to watch TV, there was never a Welsh person. So now, if I'm on social media and I hear a Welsh person, I absolutely love it. And it's about time that our voices are heard and we haven't got to, just be Queen's English everywhere anymore. It's nice that we're rising from the coal mines all the way up. So bore off telling me to get a voice coach. And I love it that people think it would work. I've tried to do accents on you before. I'm so bad. I can do a Cockney accent. Hang on, let me get into character. Alright, darling, you're going to have apples and pears with that? I don't know, that was a bit on the cusp, wasn't it? Alright, darling, you want to go to the gaff? I mean, at a push, maybe I could, like, spruce up a sentence. I reckon I can do a good Audrey Hepburn one. Like, whatever that English is. Oh, darling, we simply must go to Tiffany's for breakfast. And we must have a cocktail on our way. I mean, to be fair then, look, I probably could pick up an accent, but generally they're my best ones, I think. And I think I can do a posh English accent. Like that TikTok sound that's going around at the minute, I can do that. You could always paint the roses red. What an odd thing to say. So I think I could do it, but you know how exhausting it would be for me to speak like that all the time? I've lived my life long enough in London, slowing my voice down for people. I don't need the hate in the comments for it. Anyway, sorry guys, I'm going off on a big tangent. I'm going to be completely honest with you. This episode, I'm not fully with it. It's been a very overwhelming day trying to get everything done. My long distance bestie is on her way. I'm nowhere near ready for her arrival. Do you know what though? We're such type B friends, right? I think it's type B, but there's this thing I read that you're either like a type A person where you're super organised and you know a plan and you have to be organised to like function. Or you're the type B friend where you go along with wherever, you don't know what's happening, you've barely got a care in the world. I'm very much a type B person through and through, if you couldn't already tell. And my friend's more of a type A person, but like I just know we're on the same vibe, right? Because his sister just messaged me. Just spoken to Amelia, she's on 1% battery, doesn't know if there's a charger point on the Elizabeth line. She's going to write down the address and should be with you in about an hour. It's like when I went to San Diego to see her, I told her in February, 1 month after my breakup, by the way, and my battery went, because my battery always goes, And I went out for dinner. What was it? Yeah, went out for dinner when I got there. Lost her key immediately. She was in a wedding. My battery went. She put the key in a taxi to me. I was waiting at the wrong entrance, so the Uber couldn't find me, and obviously my battery went, and I was stood outside in the cold for 2 hours until she came. And I was like, why do I live my life like this? And that's just always how I go about life. But it's the last episode of the year, guys, so I hope you can forgive me. And it's it's just been a bit crazy. I can't tell you how sleep deprived I am. Side note, I don't know if you saw on my Love What Luck Insta, but we are in the top 10% of video podcasts on Spotify, which I don't even know how that is possible, but I'm so chuffed. Ironically, I saw that the week that I didn't put a video podcast out, because last week I recorded fine, organised queen on top of it. I went to edit it back. It comes up on my computer screen large. I was like, oh my fucking God, I look like Hagrid. And I'm not exaggerating. I literally looked like Hagrid. I was like, I cannot put that out on the internet. And I know I've put myself out in some states. But it would just have been detrimental to my mental health, knowing that was out there. It was the hair was. And the top, I can't even go into it. Anyway, so I didn't do a video episode last week. But yeah, we're in the top 10%, which is amazing. And I did just want to say, obviously, thank you so much for listening and watching and sticking by me for what has been, I would say, a tumultuous year. It's just been a bit of a ride, but I've had a couple of messages from you guys, and yeah, you always make me feel so much better, and you're always super friendly and nice. So yeah, I did just want to say thank you. How would I have got through this year if I didn't record? Even though sometimes it was late, even though sometimes it was, from a cave. What would I have done if I didn't have you guys, truly? So yeah, thank you so much. Oh, I also got to share a story, right? 2 weeks ago, I think it was, the episode on controlling relationships. If you've listened to it, this girl was in an awful relationship, awful person, super controlling, not a good guy. And she came out of it, and her closing remarks on her message to me was, and obviously what I shared on the podcast, she said, "I've finally blocked him and his family. I'm ready to start again, not with anyone other than myself and my girls, because they really are the loves of my life. And if I have them, I never need a man again." Okay, so she was fully on self-healing, self-love vibes. Scrolling on Insta, hard launch and a boyfriend. So obviously I messaged and I was like, wow, love this for you. And she messaged back, and I thought I've got to share this with you guys. I said I've screenshot it to say to the pod people, but also as like a little reminder for myself. She said, "Just to say, it's been the craziest month of my life. When you finally let go of the things that don't bring you peace and happiness will literally just walk straight into your life like it was just waiting for you to let go. Never in my life did I expect this to happen." And I just, oh my God, so happy for her. And yeah, I just think it's such a testament that when you let the wrong person go, you focus on yourself and you feel really good about yourself, the universe just rewards you in magical, wonderful ways. And I've always believed that. I always believed that. So even though it's really hard sometimes to get yourself out of the trenches, when you eventually do, I just feel like everything starts falling into place and just feels so much better. Okay, let's go into another story. I had a bad breakup with my ex, cheating on her part. I was also new to relationships and broke every cardinal sin there was. We even had a miscarriage along the way. Whatever happened, it was always bad, and she left me for another guy. I just focused on myself and moved on. We went to the same uni and shared the odd friend, and I'd see her from time to time, but never speak. I would notice her look at me, though, fairly often. 2 and a bit years passed, and it's our final year in uni, and we get to showcase our work, and mine was a film. I stand in the university lobby and get a few congratulations, and between the people congratulating me, I see her heading towards me. I look back towards the people, and I notice her stop, lean forward, and then briskly walk away. So anyway, big night, but celebrations, and we all go out clubbing. She'd never usually come, but this time she did. We're there, and I'm avoiding her as well, as in the back of my mind, she hated me, and I felt more comfortable just being away from it all too. I don't know if she can hate you if she was the one that cheated. Although maybe she cheated out of hate for you, who knows. He did say he broke every cardinal sin, so I don't know what that means. Anyway, I go to get a drink and I stop in my tracks because she's lost in the queue. My friend was with me and he told me to go and speak to her because you just never know. I was a few drinks deep, so I thought, F it, I'm sick of being scared or walking on eggshells. I'm just going to say, look, I know we never got a chance to say let's be civil, but let's be civil. He said, oh, as much as you could, 7 drinks deep in a club. The way that alcohol infiltrates your mind is the scariest thing. If my mother's listening to this, she's probably not going to be happy. But when I went to San Diego last, we went for dinner. For some reason, right, I've been on this fab trip. I come from Denver. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling so fine. I land in San Diego. Me and my friend going out for dinner with her boyfriend. And she says, do you want a gummy? Because obviously they're legal in America. So, Mum, it's not like a crazy thing. It's just a little gummy. I had no need for it. It was probably the least stressed I'd been in the whole month. I was like, yeah, okay. Took the whole thing down. Was thinking, how bad can they really be? You literally like buy them in a shop over there. Oh, how wrong I was. We were sat for dinner. We were on these high chairs and I was fine for a while. And then I could feel my eyelids starting to feel really heavy. Like every time I blinked, I could feel each movement is the only way I could describe it. And then I could feel like my legs being heavy. I had ordered a cocktail as well, probably unnecessary. I had a margarita. I could feel my legs being heavy. And then I just remember having the feeling that I was suddenly a little bit frightened of falling off this high chair. Like I was suddenly very aware that I was far away from the floor, which wasn't a problem when I first arrived at the restaurant. So I was like, okay, this is definitely starting to kick in, but I'm not going to say anything. My friend was fine, by the way, completely fine. So I was like, don't embarrass yourself. Bear in mind, so the second time I've met a boyfriend, the first time was the time that I'd lost the key and I was stood outside for 2 hours like an absolute mess. So, you know, she's my best friend. You're trying to make a good impression all round, you know. It just went downhill, guys. I could barely talk. I felt so embarrassed. You know what? I just felt like a really uncool old mom. I just felt like somebody, just taking a gummy for the first time. Look at me, I'm crazy. Like I couldn't control it. And it was embarrassing. My friend was so fine. And I felt like, do you know, have you seen the scene where Kris Jenner takes a gummy for her like bad knee or something? And Chloe is completely fine. And Kris is laughing. And I remember watching it and I thought it was funny. But I was like, she's obviously putting it on. And that's how I felt. I was like, people are going to think I'm putting this on for attention, which couldn't be more wrong because probably for the one time in my life, I did not want the attention on me. I felt like everybody in that restaurant knew that I was high and I didn't want to look at anyone. I just like felt so like out of my body. I could barely talk because anything funny, that was it. I thought it was the most hilarious thing ever. So if like Mila made a joke, I'd be like, could not stop laughing. And then like towards the end of the meal, I ended up just talking like with no intonation in my voice. And obviously you can hear me talk. I like sing loads of my words. Obviously we're Welsh. I asked my friend's boyfriend a question all in one sentence like this, like, do you play games of sports? Just like that. And he was just looking at me and I knew that he couldn't understand me. Obviously the accent's well. I mean, my friend's got the same accent, but I feel like it's still, you know. And then Amelia was laughing and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not okay. I am not okay. Anyway, my whole point to tell you that story was, when you do that, it's like I knew I wasn't okay. And when I was laughing at the joke, like so funny, I was literally saying, I know that what you're saying like is not this funny. I know I shouldn't be laughing this much, but I can't help it. But the difference when you're drunk is that you don't know if it's funny or not, because you full-heartedly like believe in that moment that it's the funniest thing. But it also goes for like the rudest thing, the angriest thing. Do you know what I mean? And I just like, it's scary. It just like kills your brain. You just think whatever idea you have is just like the smartest idea. Like he's like, yeah, I'm going to go and talk to her. Like I've been the victim of drunk texting and calling exes, boyfriends, people I've dated. I've been the victim of that for so many years now. Because in that moment, I'm like, yeah, this is the right thing to do. And then the next day, I'm like, oh my God, never speak to me again. I've got no desire to speak to you now. Oh my word. It's scary. It's very scary. Okay, so sorry, he goes up to her to speak. I broke the ice and was met with a warm reply. And just like that, it was like I or she never left. Joking and all that. And then she sits me down in a booth and asks if we can meet in person to actually talk. We meet that weekend, and well, it was the most cathartic experience of my life. I've realised being in other relationships since that have ended badly, that this was quite a rare thing. I have said that before, and I like when you're with the right person, you should feel like really calm and happy, and the conversation and like jokes and stuff should just flow easily. But even if there's silences as well, it should just feel right and calm. We met up and she apologised for absolutely everything. I apologised too, of course, and we chatted about things in our lives. I told her my grandmother had died, who she was quite fond of, and she named her and embraced me tightly. And in that moment, after all that time, after all that fear of being forgotten, I realised I was always remembered. Oh. We spoke for a while longer, mentioning times like I recalled above about when she nearly congratulated me on my film but was scared I hated her, etc. To this day, she is my best friend. Oh my God, wasn't expecting it to turn out like this. To this day, she is my best friend. I don't see her in a romantic way anymore. I think we were young, and when you click with someone at that age the way we did, you can often confuse romantic and platonic. She's there for me when I need her, and I am to her too. It was a massive part of my life for only being with her for a year, but I'm really happy to where we've ended up. Yes, I know I'm going to get people saying that we can't be friends, but aren't we? We are in my mind at least. Wow. I do love the idea, right, of two people that are just meant to connect and be in each other's lives. And sometimes you can get that relationship wrong and it maybe changes into something else, but the connection is still there. And I actually do love that idea. And I did have an ex before that I started with as friends. And sometimes I do wonder, like, if we never got into a relationship, could we still be friends? Like, if we never crossed that line, do you know what I mean? I don't think so, because when we were friends, we, like, fell out. Well, I wouldn't know I'm going into it. We fell out because he wanted more, and I said no, and then he couldn't be friends, and then I wanted more, and do you know what I mean? It's just, it gets messy. So, I don't know. Yeah, it is a very nice thing. If you've got a strong enough relationship with somebody that you can make it through no matter what. I realise I'm backtracking from previous episodes here where I'm like, you can't be friends with an ex. But reading that, I believe him. I believe him that he's just seeing it platonically. And I believe it from her side. So, yeah. Also, guys, did you hear about that woman that worked in a hotel and poisoned people that were married but were booking the hotel to have affairs or like nights away? She basically worked with the guys who were doing it like with their partners. So the partners would find out that they'd booked this hotel and she would work with them, find out like who they'd booked the hotel room with, and she was poisoning them. I mean, it's bad, but I'm not completely against it. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up. We're going to be back in Jan, better than ever. I've got some nice little surprises for us for hopefully in Jan. I say surprises, I've got some guests that I'm hoping to come on. But I hope you have an amazing Christmas and the best end to the year. If you've been through the trenches this year, then I hope next year is just like the light at the end of the tunnel for you guys. So the first episode back is going to be the 13th of Jan, which seems so far away and it's much longer than I would usually take off, but I'm living and learning from last year that breaks are really good and needed, and I'm also going away for New Year and then flying back into Wales. So I'm also just like logistically, it's not going to be possible. But I'll be back on the 13th of Jan. I'll still be posting and stuff, so please come and follow me at Sadie Maltby at Love What Luck, and follow me on TikTok as well. I'm at Sadie Maltby on there. And yeah, keep me posted on what's happening with you guys. Have the best time, best parties, and I'll speak to you in 2025.